All right, folks, Unhappy Wednesday, coming to you live from our humble abodes, from the 215 to the 513. This is Unhappy and the MP, part of the Green Legion Radio family, proudly brought to you by Green Legion Radio. We thank you for joining us tonight from wherever you may be and whatever service you're using, whether it's YouTube or Facebook, and of course whatever device you're using to listen to us babble on for an hour here. So pull up a chair, turn up the volume if you got to. Use the company dime if, God forbid, you're still stuck at work. Crack open a cold one if you're trying to get your St. Patrick's Day weekend started a little early. And let's try to have some fun as we put an end to day 3 of this week's hostage situation and look forward to tomorrow being Friday Eve. Lou Mancini already in the room says he got his days mixed up last week. Brother, it happens to all of us. The theme for tonight is pretty easy, folks. It has been a bonanza, a free agent frenzy, if you will. So we'll talk a bit about, of course, our birds, and then hit on a few of these what I like to call some of these knucklehead moves by these fucking franchises that just stay mired in piss forever. But and Keenan joins us as well. Hey boys, sure smells good in here. Well, it definitely is not me. So I promise that. Let's get the business out of the way so we can get down to it here. Michelle's favorite part of the show, although she just ran off to get her glasses fixed. Or no, she hasn't left yet. She has tape around the one side of her glasses, which is a really great look. But her favorite part of the program, everyone, we are proudly sponsored by Cheerleaders Gentlemen's Club, located at 2740 South Front Street in Philadelphia, just minutes away from the sports complex. Cheerleaders brings you the area's most beautiful women on 5 different stages. Open 7 days a week from noon until 2 a.m. and until Friday until 4 a.m. on Fridays and Saturdays. For group information, call 215-467-1980. Also offering free parking, a full menu, daily drinking food specials, and a premium selection of cigars and a cigar lounge. If you're looking for a place to watch your favorite sporting event, we got the NCO. This week is conference tournament week, leading into the conference championship weekend into Selection Sunday, and then onward into the tournament. If you're looking for a place to head out and catch some games, head out over to Cheerleaders and enjoy the 75-foot HDTV wall, as well as HDTV screens throughout the entire club. Once again, folks, Cheerleaders Gentlemen's Club, located at 2740 South Front Street in Philadelphia. Call 215-467-1980 for all of your group and party information. As always, folks, at the bottom of your screen, greenlegion.com, the longest tenured and best in the business. Don't hesitate. Early bird specials this Friday. So, like we do every week, I'll explain it to you real brief. Early bird. So we know who we're playing. We know where we're playing them, unless one of these games gets moved overseas, of course. We know whether we're playing them home or on the road, acting home team or road team. If, for sake of argument, we just don't know the dates. If, for sake of argument, you wanted to go to Nashville. And, all right, well, let me go in on Friday when that becomes available. It's usually 10 a.m. or noon. And let me put in my deposit for 2 people to Nashville. That holds your spot for that trip. Now, early May, the schedule gets released. And all of a sudden, oh shit, Nashville's not going to work. Or we end up playing the Titans in fucking Germany or something. I'm not going to do that. Well, you look around and, oh, hey, look at that. The Bears game at Chicago happens to fit very nicely into my schedule, and I can get to Chicago very easily. You just contact the Green Legion. We will shift your deposit, your early bird deposit, from the Nashville trip to the Chicago trip, and you do not lose your place in line. If for some reason you've put a deposit in and no trip works for you, you can get a full refund of said deposit up to, I believe it's June 1st. But don't quote me on that. Those details will come out once you see the early birds available. So don't hesitate this Friday, folks. If it's something you're interested in, you see a game you want to jump on, get on in there and get on to it. I promise you, if you wait until just a couple of weeks before you want to hem and haw and wait until a couple of weeks before that game, you ain't getting in, brother. Especially some of these trips that are on our schedule. Nashville, if we are playing at the Titans, I promise you that one will sell out ridiculously fast. It's Nashville. Huge party town. We drank the city out of Miller Lite last time we were there, 2018. There were literally, and I know because I was living down there at the time, there were literally beer distributors showing up to the bars right there in the district, Broadway and 2nd Ave and everything. Beer was coming out of the truck directly to the customer at the bar. That's how much beer the Birds fans drank in Nashville 8 years ago. So let's try to repeat that. We've also got Chicago, another big hot spot. We are at San Francisco. We are at Arizona. These are all fun. You're at Jacksonville. I don't know. Jacksonville's really your thing, but it is Florida. You know, it could be a little warmer, right? No risk of snow. I'm sure we're all sick of by now. But yeah, we got some good destinations on the docket. I can almost guarantee something's going to London overseas this year. You can pretty much bank on it. But like I said, those the early bird deposits will become. You'll be able to go in and do that starting on Friday. It'll either be 10 a.m. or noon. I know Stephanie and her team are working diligently to make sure that is out and available to you. So don't hesitate. Also with the Green Legion, it got released today, and I'd like to give you the details. So everyone who's connected to the Green Legion, we all know Quimby, right? Our fearless leader, the man who founded this thing, the man who grew this thing, the man who a lot of us are lucky enough to call a friend, a brother, and everything in between. So for 23 years, he represented, as the Reaper, right? With the cloak, with the mask, with the scythe, everything, right? Getting the crowd pumped up, ready to go, the march to the stadium, all the things that you loved about game day and tailgating with the Green Legion. Quimby's decided that, he's going to be at least semi-retired. So the Reaper must live on. And instead of just naming someone the next Reaper, Stephanie and her team, Stephanie, Sam, and all the folks that you folks have come to know and love, have come up with an excellent idea for how to go about the new Reaper. So let me give you the details here. And if anybody's interested, just go to the Green Legion Facebook page and you will see this post that I'm about to read to you. So I just gave you the Quimby spiel. Now, searching for 2 new Reapers to carry the torch and split the road schedule through 2029. Traveling with the Green Legion for free to Eagles road trips. Here's how you enter this contest. Submit a video, 40 seconds or less would be preferred, including your name, where you're from, when you became a crazy Eagles fan and why, a hype scene you create or from a past video. Obviously, you want to keep it creative. Obviously, no nudity, and try to keep the F-bombs to a minimum. That might take me out of the running right there. And we want to have those videos submitted by April 8th at 5 p.m. What will happen after that, and this is the part, you guys listen to this, it is absolutely awesome. Videos will compete in 6 weekly voting rounds starting April 15th. Each weekly winner gets a free road trip this season and becomes the Reaper for that game. After the main 6 trips, which do not include bus trips, fans will vote, and the top 2 performers will become the official Green Legion Reapers through 2029, traveling with the Green Legion as staff. All 6 winners will also be honored as VIP guests at our final home tailgate at Stateside Live, where the 2 champions will be crowned. So get creative, get loud, get ready to bring the hype. The Legion awaits. Go Birds. I can't think of a better way to find a new Reaper. I just think this is absolutely awesome. And the fact that it opens it up to the entire audience, everybody gets a crack at it. I know I've had a few people out here asking me if I'm going to do it. Look, my group here needs me. I'd like to submit a video and just throw my name in the hat. Ultimately, like I think I said last week, it should probably go to somebody who is actually in the Philadelphia area, right? I am in Cincinnati. Not that that makes a huge lot of difference, but, depending on who enters and all that, we'll see who gets my vote. But like I said, if this is something you're interested in, or if you know somebody that might be interested, get on over to the Green Legion social media, Facebook or wherever, and look up this post, find those details, and get your name in the hat, or get your person's name in the hat. Submit a video. It doesn't say where to do that. I think that's the only part missing. But, yeah, the Green Legion is looking for the next Reaper. Win free Eagles road trips through 2029. Submit video by April 8th. Come on. How fucking awesome is that? I mean, how much fun would that be? If you've got the means, and you're splitting it, right? So it's not like it's every road trip for you, right? You've got to, you're going to break it up. I would suggest anybody who does enter, make sure you've got an updated passport. Right? Because the international thing is going to be there. Make sure that you have the federal compliant license so that you can actually get on a damn airplane. Right? Like I said, like when I read it, none of the bus trips are going to be part of this. So nothing to New York, nothing to Washington. This is your Nashville. This is Chicago. This is San Francisco, Jacksonville, London, if we end over there, I would imagine. So make sure all of your travel stuff is up to date if this is something you're interested in. All right. And as always, reach out if there's any questions. I'm sure Steph and the staff there will be more than happy to answer, as if, I'm quite confident they're already getting blown up with these things. So I just think it's really cool. That thing, how long ago? An hour or so ago, and I could not wait to get on here and read that to everyone. I just think it's fantastic. So, over to the room one more time before we dive right in. Keenan, I imagine it's hard to focus on the game watching cheerleaders. I'll have to ask Russ. Lou Mancini, I blame Big Cans. Lou Mancini, 20 years ago, I had a shot at this. Now, not so much. Is the ticket included too? The ticket, what, to the game? Yeah, dude. You're traveling as staff. So, by all means, if you can put together a little hype video or whatever, give your name and all that stuff, throw your name in the hat, and let's go. I'm sure there's going to be some awesome candidates out there. So, looking forward to seeing all of that. All right, Mason. How's your week been, brother?
It's been all right. Doing a lot of stuff at work, so it's been nice and steady there. But man, with everything going on in the league, it's my head's spinning over my shoulder so many times, and it's hard to keep up with. But there was a little bit of a drought there from action from us, which was kind of like you know what? I trust Howie. All right, we're not coming out guns blazing, but that's not always a bad thing. But I think that what we have done so far is spectacular. I'm a really big fan of what we've done, and I look forward to speculating a little bit today in terms of what may be going on in the future.
All right, so why don't you go ahead and take it away with the biggest acquisition so far? Obviously the corner.
So so Tariq Woolen was a guy who I was actually outside with my dad. We were just kind of talking when he actually brought it up, and I said, "Oh, we got Tariq Woolen." I said, "No, he didn't. There's no way. There's no way we got him." And he said it was a 1 year, $15 million deal. And I said, "Are you kidding? Are you sure?" I got like an
That
official
was our
source there.
reaction too.
And the reason why I love that signing is because A, he's a younger guy. So you have this is first of all, this is a 1-year prove it deal.
Yep.
Coming from a
contract.
corner.
We love those.
Exactly. Coming from a guy who just won a Super Bowl, probably looking to make a kind of separate himself. So I'm like, hey, I am him. I'm not just a product of them. The kid's 6'4" and ran a 4.26. At a certain level, that's kind of all you have to say. But he's an incredibly rangy guy. His arms are like fire hose. I mean, they just don't stop. Okay. So he's rangy, he's fast. He's a spectacular physical talent. He's very talented physically. His athletic ability is off the charts. So he has a lot of raw talent if he hasn't been honed yet. I think he's a premier guy to put him opposite Quinyon, keep Cooper in the slot. So now your backfield is looking like Quinyon on the left, Cooper in the slot, and then Tariq on the right, which I have no problem with. I think that's fantastic. I think Woolen, the cool thing that Tariq does is that he's a very versatile matchup guy. He's tall, so he'll if he has any Cortland Suttons, any George Pickens, any DK Metcalf, he's got him with height. Any burners, any I'm trying to think of Rashichi, anything like that. Any Lamb, any take the top off guys. He runs a 4.26. No problem there either. And if for some reason he's not all the way up there regarding route running and change of direction, he's incredibly rangy. He doesn't have to be on the guy's ass to play the ball. He can afford to be a few steps behind and still manage to get his hand on the ball. So I think he's a terrific schematic addition. I think on paper, he's an incredible pickup. And the fact that we got him for only $15 million is a steal.
Yeah, no long-term commitment. I think you summed that up absolutely perfect. The measurables are just incredible. I mean, a guy at that size running that fast on the outside is the matchups. It's a lot like when we went and got Bradbury a couple of years back, right? 6'2" corner that you could put out there, and you could put him on an island with a bigger bodied receiver because he's got the height, right? So now we've got that capability once again, only an even bigger, faster, more physical on the right side now.
So last week we talked a little about the draft, and I kind of brought up that guy's profile on X. His name is Math Bomb. That's his kind of headline. He does graphics that kind of visualize athletic profiles. Let me tell you what Tariq Woolen is on this guy's chart. Okay, 6'4", which is in the 99th percentile for corners. 205, absolutely. 95th percentile. He only benches for 12 reps. He's a corner. I don't care. Vertical is 42 inches. His vertical is 42 inches at 6'4". His broad jump is 10 territory. 11 inches. Yes, broad jump is 10 feet, 11 inches, almost 11 feet. His 40-yard dash was 4.26. That's in the 99th percentile.
That's fucking insane at 6'4".
His arm length is over 33.5 inches.
Golly, dude. Yeah.
That's the kind of guy we just picked up for $15 million to go opposite Quinyon and to keep Cooper in the slot.
Yep. And it's beautiful. I absolutely love it. Obviously that's the now look, I know there's a lot of, and we got Lou Mancini here talking about Phillips. So let me just kind of sum up a couple of things for folks here real quick. I would have loved to kept Jalen Phillips as well. All right. Trading a 3rd round pick for him last year. And, we got better value than a 3rd round pick out of that trade. However, $120 million and 80 of it guaranteed was never going to come out of the Eagles' wallets for Jalen Phillips. All right.
Nope.
Once Carolina threw that kind of bag out there, this is like Milton Williams all over again. right? You know, we wanted to keep Williams, but when the Pats came in and offered him $26 million a year, we were never going to do that, right? I will say the same thing about Nakobe Dean. So, you know, Mason and I have been kind of prepping the audience for quite a while now that there were going to be difficult conversations, some people getting upset, and here we are, right? Nakobe Dean, I love the tenacity and the heart that that kid brings. However, once we gave the bag to Zach Bond and we drafted Jihad Campbell, Nakobe Dean's days were numbered.
Yeah.
All right. We were never
Exactly.
going to pay two linebackers top of the market money. It wasn't going to happen. Now, what you can do with Nakobe Dean is you can still love him because he got the same goddamn offer from Dallas and told him to stuff it up their ass. So we wish Nakobe Dean and Jalen Phillips luck. But those two guys, they were just that level of money at those positions. It just wasn't going to happen, guys. And Jalen Phillips, that's a huge, huge amount of money for a guy who has had injury problems. All right. And they're guaranteeing $80 million to him. That's a lot.
Yeah.
The other side to this, go ahead. Take it.
No, I was gonna because I've been talking with a lot of people regarding kind of stay on the defensive line here regarding Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter. I think that's kind of the
where I was going
in the
next.
room here.
Yep.
Looking at the Davis contract, you have a 3 years, $78 million, which is I think that is $26 million a year. To be honest with you, and listen, you ask my dad, he'll tell you I was the first Jordan Davis fan. Okay. Watching his film in Georgia, that man's left leg is like those concrete pillars in front of Target. Okay. It's not moving. Okay. Once it's planted, it's not going anywhere. He's a fantastic guy to run in the running game. He just plants his feet and he doesn't move. And he's a remarkable pass rusher because of his size and his leverage, his pad level. He's fantastic. And when he ran the blocked field goal back, oh my God, he ran faster than any guy that size I think I've ever seen. That being said, I do think that $26 million is a bit alarming. I did not think we'd pay him that much. I was thinking more in the 20-ish range. The reason why I think this is a really big deal specifically is because also looking at Jalen Phillips and how he got $30 million, I think that there's a legitimate chance you explore the market for Jalen Carter. I know Jalen Carter's a fantastic talent. The only knock against the kid is his off the field stuff. And he's been doing pretty good since he's been in the league. However, Jalen Carter is a type of guy who is going to take a floor of $40 million.
Yeah.
Okay. He's also the type of talent to reset the market. So he's not going to get top 5, top 3 money. He is what? 24, 25 years old. Okay.
Yeah, he's going to get top of the market.
He's going to get closer to 45. He could sniff closer to 50. Okay. He is like a Myles Garrett territory. There's no way in hell you will ever see as much as Harry Rosen loves the trenches, and I love the trenches, and you love the trenches, and everyone in Philadelphia loves the trenches. We are not going to pay Jordan Davis $26 million and have Carter at 40, 45, 50. So
that will not happen.
Being that the Ravens, they backed out of it, but the market value was set for Max Crosby at 2 first-round picks. Okay. Max Crosby obviously has injury history. Max Crosby is also older. Jalen Carter is much younger. He doesn't have as nearly lengthy of an injury history. I think for Jalen Carter, you could easily get 2 firsts and a second. You could even poke around for 3. I think he's that kind of a player. Now, I don't know if that's what they'll get for him, but I think that if you're not mentally preparing yourself for a potential Jalen Carter trade, then it is going to wipe you on your ass when it happens.
Yeah, I agree with you. So I'd like to flash everybody back a year ago. Everything we're discussing now about Carter and Davis was the exact opposite 1 year ago. Exact opposite. You were looking at a Jalen Carter who you were going to this offseason give that bag to, and a Jordan Davis who could not stay in shape, was winded constantly on the field, did not look that good, was getting outplayed by Milton Williams and at times Ojimo, had lost a shit ton of snap percentage on the defensive side while his special teams snap count was going up. This was Jordan Davis 1 year ago. What happens in the course of that year? Well, we pick up the fifth-year option on Davis, which smart. Didn't have to entertain that with Carter until now.
Yeah.
But then Davis comes into camp in the best shape of his life. Has a monster season with that. You just highlighted the blocked field goal and the scoop and score off of it at running at like 20 miles an hour or whatever it was that week. And on the flip side is Carter, who came into this year as the linchpin of the defense. I don't think there was much argument about that. He was the centerpiece coming into this past season. And right out of the gates, he's suspended for spitting on Dak, right? And then you find out he had both shoulders trouble throughout the summer and into the season. The unfortunate thing for Jalen Carter is his buddy Jordan Davis had a huge year, and Carter picked a bad year to have attitude, suspension, and injuries, dude. Now it's got us in a spot where it's like, we've just made the commitment to Davis. What I will say, though, if you pick up the fifth-year option on Carter, which I think you have to do unless you're going to trade him now, if you pick up that fifth-year option, that keeps him for 2 more years.
That's right.
You're coming up, you don't have to make the decision right now. You could get 2 more years you could get 2 more years of the two of them together like that, and what should be a much more motivated Jalen Carter. I think we saw a Jalen Carter last year that was a little bit full of himself, to be perfectly honest with you. And it was a little disappointing. That was just my take on it, but yeah.
I think that's not a horrible perspective on it. And I think
good for Davis. Good for Davis. Congratulations. He certainly earned it. He got
that generational wealth. Yeah.
Yeah, he certainly earned it. Huge year, right? Lived up to the draft pick, right? He did. It was fine his rookie season, but towards the end of that, he looked a little sloppy. He looked a little. What didn't help him was Milton Williams working his ass off. Milton Williams was constantly in the weight room, constantly dropping weight, getting quicker, getting better, getting stronger. And he looked better than Jordan Davis. And so last year at this time, we were on here talking about, do we have a Jordan Davis problem brewing? And then he erases all that with an absolutely monster season, and good for him. But just like I said a year ago, we're agreeing now, only it's flipped the other way. We're not going to pay both of them top of the market money. That's not going to happen. It's just not. It's Nakobe Dean and Zach Bond. It's the same thing. You're not going to pay 2 guys at one position. I don't care how valuable you think it is. 2 guys at one position, top of the market money will not happen. Howie will rely on his ability to draft and replace.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And I think just to kind of spend a little bit more time on David, just because I'm particularly fond of him, I think it's worth going back in time here and kind of remembering where we were, what the reality was when Jordan Davis was first drafted. When Jordan Davis was drafted, he was a unit. Okay. He was 6'3" and he weighed like a truck. Okay. The biggest knock against him in the draft was his conditioning. There was no doubt about his strength. There's no doubt about his size. There's no doubt about his speed. The only problem is he could only play like a quarter or a third of the snaps. That was the biggest knock against him. We took a really big gamble taking him in the first round when we did. Took a really big gamble because this guy can either never lose the weight, never get in shape, and he's just a big, like, man, what if he really just took his career seriously? And actually put in the work and to kind of do all that kind of stuff. And seeing this kind of growth from Davis is really nice to see. There's something really cool about seeing a really good young talent that actually takes their opportunity really seriously and maximizes it, which is what Jordan Davis has done. And that's exactly what this contract is reflective of. You bring up a great point in terms of a lot of when I say we had to prepare for a potential Jalen Carter trade, it is because there's a certain type of risk management that you want to take right now. Okay. Max Crosby could have been traded for 2 first-round picks. That's the market level right now for a defensive lineman.
Time out. Keep in mind, that's an edge rusher versus a defensive tackle.
Sure.
Different.
Yeah.
Right.
I do think that a lot of the stuff translates in terms of him being much younger and him having much higher of a ceiling than like Max Crosby. Max Crosby also coming off of a torn meniscus, and he's older, and he's still got 2 first-round picks. So I'm saying that's the floor for someone like Carter. One side of this is if you pick up that 5th-year option and you decide to give Carter this extra year, you're putting a lot of you're risking the fact you're hedging your bet on him doing very well so he improves his trade capital so you can trade him for more next year, or you give him another year and the attitude stuff continues and he continues to sit on the bench, come on and off the bench with these kind of bullshit injuries. That capital plummets, I think, because I don't think anybody wants to pick up a problematic young guy. On
I don't
side B, we don't have to talk about this year. This is a next year problem.
I don't know. Now look, they have to make the decision on the 5th-year option this offseason. All right. It's after your 3rd year that you have to make the commitment. So, we'll see if they do. If they don't do that, then you know he's getting moved. Right. I mean,
if they take the 5th year, he's staying.
Right. Yeah. I don't see it so much as the mitigated risk. I see it as if we pick up that 5th-year option, I know I've got those 2. You're trying to keep your championship window open for as long as humanly possible. Eventually, you have to come down the other side of the mountain. You're not just going to keep being able to do this, right? The salaries and stuff catch up with you, and you've got to kind of tear some things down and rebuild, which is why, and I've said it before, and your dad actually comments here, one of his things, he wants to see a backup quarterback. I don't know that that's this year. I think that's next year, and I'm not going to be shocked if it's a 2nd or 3rd round pick at that point, right? So it's about keeping that window open, which is why I've not been an advocate of trading A.J. Brown, because it's impossible to think you're just going to replace that level of talent on the outside. Smitty's great and all, and I love him. And I'd love to see his volume increase, which it would if AJ was jettisoned. But I mean, my God, dude, you're in your window right now where you're not, yes, you're paying Davis, you're paying a bunch of guys on the offense, you're paying Zach Bond, but you're not paying Coop, you're not paying Quinion, you're not paying Jahan Campbell. Carter's not getting paid yet, right? You still are in that window where you're not having to tear shit down. You're able to keep this going. The only way to keep it going is to continue to draft well. Law of averages would say sooner or later, and I hate to say this, but sooner or later you're going to fuck a couple of these up. Like it just happens. It's not any
Laundry dealer.
Yeah, right. Yeah, big pudding. It just happens. I think that's more what this is about. But time will tell, right? Like we'll see. If they don't pick up that 5th-year option, then Carter's out the door at draft time. Everything you're seeing right now is that the Eagles are not shopping Jalen Carter. They weren't really shopping A.J. Brown. They were just saying, if you want to talk, this is how you open the door. Which to me has felt more like we're trying to show A.J. how much we value him and coddle him a bit with his ego and try to get him to reinvest. Telling teams, look, 4 years ago, we traded a 1st and a 4th to get or first and a fourth, or first and a third to get AJ.
First and a third.
4 years ago when he was 25. He's 29 now. He's going to be 30 before the season's over.
Man, that was 4 years ago? Oh, my God.
4 years. And to think that, and I understand he's had a couple of huge seasons. I got it. But to think that you can then go out and demand even more draft capital for a guy that's pushing 30 now, that's a little, to me, I don't think the Eagles had ever had any intention of trading A.J. Brown. That asking price would tell you that alone, right? Like there were some reports out there that Howie wants a first, a second, and a player. Like he wanted the Patriots to come to him with Christian Gonzalez, a first round and a second rounder. Like, you're fucking nuts.
Yeah.
I'm not trading that shit for anybody, dude. Get out of here. So I don't think there was anything there. The other bummer is I'm wearing it. It's the end of the exciting whites.
Yeah.
Reed Blankenship moves on to Houston. Another guy that we give, congratulations, Reed. You went and got your bag. That's a great salary for a safety that, and he picked a good spot too. It's not like he went to the team that just threw the bag at him, but there's no other talent around, right? Houston's defense is really, really good. So he should continue to possibly look better than he may actually be, right? Like I think he fit us very, very well schematically and with the other talent around him. And I think he might do the same thing in Houston, right? And he's got his money. So congratulations to Reed Blankenship, although it sucks he's gone. What are you going to do? That them's the breaks. I am not surprised, right? We weren't going to pay $8 to $9 million for Reed Blankenship. The Eagles aren't doing that, guys. They're not. We're invested elsewhere, right? Now you got to go sew that up. So, to your dad's point, bam, the first one on his list is go get me a safety. I agree. I don't know that it'd be the first. I'd still go offensive line, but safety needs to be a priority.
Listen, you love to see them come and you hate to see them go. I'm a progressive guy. I love seeing Reed and Cooper break the color barrier. I thought that was very inspirational. And so in that way, there's a little void in my heart for that. And so I hope that we can match that level of talent there. But yeah, I mean, these were some of the hard decisions that we were talking about for a long time. And I just don't know why they had to break up the dynamic duo. But you know what? I don't know. Could we have paid Reed $8 million? Maybe. But I mean,
if you do that, you don't go get what's his name though?
Woolen. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, Woolen's not here.
Yeah, then you're probably banking on I don't know if you'll get a depth safety at this point. I think they might. I don't know. I think you still want a veteran safety there, although because Makuba's gonna hopefully continue to develop. I'm kind of thinking like maybe you might spend a third or a fourth on a safety. But one thing that I'm kind of looking forward to kind of get Greg Calcaterra coming back.
Yes, sir. I was getting to that. Yep. 1 year deal. 1 year deal for Grant. I love it.
They watched the show.
Yeah. As you guys know, and he's been in the room on a number of different occasions. Grant's uncle Scott lives out here in this area. Excellent human being that I'm proud to call my friend.
Smiling
he's out with us on most game days. He's had a ball. There were some folks in our group that had asked me, "Oh man, is Scott still going to come hang out if Grant doesn't come back?" I'm sure of it. He's had a blast with us. And I would, no matter where Grant is, we still want Scott around. No question about it. But yeah, real happy to see Grant come back. If anybody's not aware of Grant's story through college and what he went through with concussions and stuff like that, where he was retired, went to go be a firefighter, and then came back. I highly, highly, highly recommend you go look that up and read it. Grant's story is absolutely amazing. And when you meet family of his, you can see why Grant is an easy guy to root for. Comes from excellent stock. Is the best I can say. But yeah, very happy to see him come back. I don't really kind of just looking for, and then we went and signed whoever the hell that other tight end.
Johnny Munt.
Munt, yeah. This is a backup
game changer
tight end. Yeah, game changer. This is a backup
I was waiting for the signing.
Tight end.
I was waiting for this signing.
Yes. So chalk Mason up for the first guy in line to get a Munt jersey. There you go.
77.
Yeah. But so yeah, I mean that's kind of where the Birds are at right now. Everything became official today, right? Today the league year opens, so now all of this shit can actually go through.
Yeah.
Or, in some cases, not go through. As in Max Crosby, who was dealt from the Raiders to the Ravens for a pair of first-round draft picks.
That's right.
And I'm looking at it like, finally, the Raiders got smart. And then the Ravens back out at the 11th hour and immediately take. So if you look at it, there was 112.7 or 0.9 million left on Max Crosby's contract that the Ravens were going to take on after giving up 2 first-round picks.
Right.
Well, so the physical comes back. They don't like it. One side note to that is it wasn't a secret that Max Crosby had surgery. It was not a secret that he wasn't going to be able to participate for quite some time still. This is a lot like, going to look at a house that has a bad roof, buying the house anyways, and then bitching about the roof. Yeah, it's kind of that sort of thing. The Ravens look like real douchebags here. And it's not the first time. This is the 4th instance where they've backed out for a failed physical, be it a free agency signing or a trade. So this is a thing with Baltimore, although this one is really bad. But that 112 point whatever million that was left on Crosby's contract, well, they pivot the very next morning and sign Trey Hendrickson to a $112 million contract.
That's right.
2 first-round picks. So while you can't blame the Raiders, this is just shit that happens to piss-poor organizations, right? Like the Raiders. Let's take a look at the Jets, who just had to go trade to get Geno Smith back. Geno Smith, who his biggest highlight while he was with the Jets was getting his jaw broken by his own teammate in the locker room. The Jets just had to go trade to bring that guy back. When we tell you that bad ownership and poorly run organizations, bad shit happens, these are the things we're talking about. Max Crosby can't go to Baltimore now. The Raiders are scrambling to try to figure out what to do with him. All the word is that he's going to come back. I don't know how you bring him back into the fold now. But now can you legitimately go out and get that market value again from someone? Nobody's giving you 2 first-round picks.
No way.
So what do? Your whole idea was trade him, get those 2 first-round picks, continue to build around Mendoza, because that's who you're going to draft, unless you're a fucking idiot, which, wouldn't shock me if they drafted Ty Simpsons. Would not shock me at all. This is the Raiders we're talking about here. And now they can't do it, right? Now they can't do it. So it's just bad things happening to bad organizations over and over and over again. And I laugh because it's constant. It never stops, ever.
Yeah, I felt a unique sense of vindication when everything went down. Because if you recall last week, I had said that I thought Trey Hendrickson was going to go to Baltimore. When the trade initially happened, there you go, Scott. We love you, buddy. When the trade initially happened, I was like, fuck, damn it. Whatever. Right. And then they got dropped. And then literally 5 minutes later, they signed Trey. I was like, let's go. We're still here. Let's go. So
this is also the equivalent of leaving leaving your wife at the at the church when you're going to get married, and then the next morning running off and eloping with someone else in Vegas. This is the same shit, dude. This is the Ravens. being
Yeah,
douchebags, dude. This is pretty
I'm
bad, man. It's a
like,
bad look.
you're getting a guy who's 8 weeks off of meniscus surgery, and then like you say like, oh, we're just worried about his medical history. It's like,
Right.
bitch, did you not look at him? Did you not know who you were trading for? What are you talking about?
Dude. So what I believe the rest of the sports fan world here believe probably happened was they had that deal in place. Of course, nothing can become official until today. So
Right,
they
that's right.
had the time. They continued to talk to Hendrickson. And once they got him to where the money was going to be a wash, 112 million either way, but now I don't have to give up my 2 first-round picks. Back on out, you've got the medical thing there that gets you out of it. Sign Hendrickson. And side note for all you folks here in Cincinnati, Joe Burrow's still very, very upset.
To be honest with you, though, listen, you can say what you want about the move from a business perspective, but that's a really good dealing by the Ravens.
And
if Howie did that, I'd be like,
yeah. But so here's what should come from this. All of the legal tampering window and all of this shit that we hear about in the couple of weeks leading up to the league year opening, that needs to stop. None of these things should happen until it can actually become official. You should not be allowed to do this, right? That's too big of a window for people. Dude, it's a douchey move. Look, you want to call it business savvy? I get it. It's a douchebag move. And the way things are currently set up, that shit's going to keep happening. And everyone wants to laugh about it, including myself, until it happens to you. Until it happens to you, right? Like, let's just say a year from now, or let's say 1 year from last week, we're going to trade Jalen Carter. And then at the 11th hour, get back. Jalen Carter has a massive season, right? And he's worth the 2 first-round picks. And we're going to trade him to freaking, I don't know, give me some garbage AFC team. Yeah, it might be. Sorry, Lou, Miami. Or, or something like that. And at the 11th hour, they're like, eh. And then that very next morning, you see they took that same amount of money commitment and gave it to a different defensive tackle. I mean, how are you going to feel then? You ain't laughing then, are you?
I mean,
no, you're not. Let me answer that for you.
It's the league. So, I mean, every team's bound to get shafted eventually. And so, listen, we've been shafted quite a few times, okay? And so it's just a matter of growing a pair and being like, you know what? We got ourselves a Howie Roseman. I'm mightily confident it's not going to happen. And so if you're not savvy enough to protect yourself, then you deserve to get egg on your face.
Well, and therein lies the Raiders, brother. It's how this whole conversation began. But yeah, the Ravens, the other thing with the Ravens is this is the 4th time, dude. So back in 2020, they had a deal in place for Michael Brockers to bolster their interior defensive line. Once again, physical comes in. I've got questions about the ankle. Backed out. 2018, Ryan Grant, wide receiver, is going to help them bolster their receiving core. Physical comes back. Once again, ankle. Pull back the contract. And then all the way back to 1997, Brock Marion, former Dallas safety, they were looking to bring him in on a deal, and he had something with his shoulder with the with the physical, and they backed out of that too. So, and I know it happens across the league. It just seems like the Ravens are setting a bit of a precedent. You know what I mean? Listen, I won't knock you for it, but boy,
they're just not very attentive to the matters of under the hood affairs. Okay. They like to gamble and be like, all right, I just want to see him in person. I don't need to look at his profile. Just let me see him.
This one's bad though, man, because he didn't. The whole world knew he had just had the surgery, right? This wasn't news. So to commit to it and then back out for the reason that you already knew.
I don't know. I think in a certain way, it's very good for the league for this type of stuff to happen because now teams are going to be very hesitant to do deals with Baltimore now, especially with the fact that when you do a trade of this nature and you verbally agreed to a deal, all the dirty laundry's out. Okay, Las Vegas didn't want Max Crosby for this amount of value. They were willing to get rid of him. They don't see him as that much of a cornerstone, so they're going to get rid of him. The Ravens really value him. They're going to give him this much money. They're going to give up that much draft capital. And now that everything's being rescinded, the Raiders are like, well, we're getting a guy back who's injured. He knows that we would have traded his ass for 2 first-round picks, so he's not untouchable. I'm never going to do a deal like this with the Ravens ever again. Yeah, and now I know it's the Raiders, and they're not missing a lot, right? But I'm saying goes across for all the teams in the league.
But they are. So that trade could have altered their franchise with those 2 additional first-round picks. Right?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that.
If they hit on both of them, it's a game changer.
No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is they're going to be much more hesitant to do another deal with Baltimore going forward because they don't want to have everything potentially risked like that at the step of fingers. And I think that kind of goes around the whole league because, as you said, the Ravens. I mean, this happens across the league, but the Ravens have a particular pattern of it. Let the Ravens expose themselves, and if it's bad business, then people aren't going to do business with them. That's how I look at it, at least.
Yeah, well, and the savvy GMs like Howie probably won't, unless it's a one-sided affair. A great question here as we head into some more comic relief. Keenan says, "Unconfused me. How bad a hit did Miami take by releasing Tua? That is $99 million in dead cap money. That is a record for dead cap.
2 years out. It's gonna be 2 years.
Yes, you can split it, but it is $99 million. Tua will also still be paid $50 million by the Miami Dolphins, which puts him. That's why he immediately was able to jump to Atlanta. It's the same situation that Russell Wilson had a couple of years ago when he went to Pittsburgh, right? Mm-hmm. He gets cut. There's a huge dead cap hit by Denver. They still have to pay him that big salary for that year, which allows him to sign for $1 million somewhere else. So this is what Atlanta has done with Tua. But it's $99 million in dead cap money that, yes, Mason, to your point, you can split over the 2 seasons. It's still almost $50 million a year on dead cap hit for one dude. That's brutal.
For reference, when I'm going to tick the box again here this week, when we traded Carson Wentz.
There it is.
His dead cap was $33 million.
And that was a record.
That was a record. In 2026 alone, Tua's dead cap is going to be $67 million.
So you take 2/3 of it 31. So is that how it goes? You take 2/3 of it the first year, and then the final third the second year. Got it. So that's how. By the way,
so this is the downside to the restructuring type of contract dealing. I'm not saying that Tua was restructured, but this exact thing is what happens when you restructure someone and then you eventually let them go. That's why every single time that we restructured Lane Johnson, I turned my dad, I said, he cannot move anywhere. He is untouchable because although you have to pay to a salary for this year, right? It's not like you have to pay his future salaries as well.
That's very true.
Bonuses, that's not how that works. The flexibility, the pros to bonuses is that you don't have to pay them all this year. You can pay them in installments over 5, 6, 7 years. That's the advantage of bonuses. Salaries do not have that luxury. You have to set salaries individually by year. The advantage of salaries is that those are gone when they're gone. Bonuses, if you cut them like you cut Tua, you have to pay those one way or another. And, a lot of the league is just very gung-ho about restructuring. And it can be really good to free up some space now. But, man, if you got to move them, you get absolutely curb stomped like this.
Another comedy relief thing here, and then we're going to go ahead and get a final bit of good news for the birds before we get out of here. Indianapolis with Daniel Jones. Look, I have talked about Daniel Jones for 4 years with you guys on here. It'll be 4 years with this show come the end of next month. And I have talked about Daniel Jones the entire time. The stalwarts of our audience know how I feel about Daniel Jones. I think he's a joke. Okay. I was at that 2019 draft. I tell the story all the time. It got a little chilly. It started to drizzle. The friend that I was with was getting cold. She said, I don't want you to miss the birds pick. We ain't picking until like 20 something. That was the Dillard pick.
Oh,
yeah. So I said, listen, let me just see the Giants at number 6. And then we can go hit the bar. She's okay. So, and they draft Daniel Jones. I burst out laughing, look right at her. I'm like, we can go. We're good. And here are the Indianapolis Colts. They just gave Daniel Jones the largest 2-year contract in the history of the NFL. It's 2 years, $100 million. That's the max value. Okay. It's $88 million in base value. Right. It is $50 million fully guaranteed at signing, $60 million guaranteed for injury. And again, the large, exactly. Like, and this is a guy who's gotten banged up in his career too, including last season. I just don't get it. I did not understand it when the Giants did it. Instead of giving Saquon the money and tagging Jones, they went the other way. And I certainly don't understand this with Jones. This is an AAV at max value of $50 million for the 2 years. That is fucking nuts for Daniel Jones. I'm sorry. You say whatever you want about the hot start last year. When they played Pittsburgh and they played Kansas City, he looked like shit. He had gotten exposed. Then he got hurt. And he is not worth that. The only thing that makes him worth that is if they make a run to the fucking Super Bowl next year. That's it.
So I think a lot of the value from the contract that you're seeing right there comes from maybe not Daniel Jones' raw talent there, but I think it's Shane Steichen's preference there. I think he felt really comfortable with Daniel in his system. I think Daniels felt really comfortable in Shane's system. I'm looking at Jones's profile right now. He was top 10 in QBR. QBR is my favorite statistic if you watch the show regularly. That's weighted and adjusted for just about everything. Strength of schedule, strength of opponent, everything like that. His pass rating for the whole year was just over 100. Did he burn the paint the town red? No. Okay, he wasn't going to be the MVP, but I think Daniel, this is a case of like Sam Darnold in Seattle. These guys are going to bounce around. They're looking for something to stick, and I think Daniel sees his opportunity to stick on the wall here with Shane Steichen in Indianapolis. They did just get rid of Michael Pittman, but they did retain Alec Pierce. So hopefully they can keep building around him a little bit. But nonetheless, like I said, I don't think that Jones's arm is worth $50 million. But I do think that Shane and what's the GM's name? Was it Ballard? I think it's Ballard.
And he's been very aggressive. Okay.
Yes.
So this contract is very aggressive. 2 first-round picks for Sauce Gardner was very aggressive.
Yes.
He's been a very aggressive GM, right? I would not have given 2 first-round picks for Sauce Gardner. No way. Not 2. I'd give a 1 and a 3 or a 1 and a 4 or something like that. You're not getting 2 first-round picks for a corner. Not out of me. But to your point, Ballard, very aggressive. Yes.
So I think when you look at Ballard, you look at Steichen, you say, hey, listen, we've seen Daniel Jones in our system. What other quarterbacks are we in a position to possibly draft? What position are we possibly in the free agency market? I don't know if we want to put Kyler in here. I don't know a lot of these different quarterbacks in here. What we do know is Daniel is somewhat proven in this system. I think Shane likes him. I think Ballard likes him. I think the organization likes him. And so I think that kind of bids up the price a little bit. Nonetheless, I'm happy for Daniel. I hope that he stays in Indianapolis. I hope he has decently long reign there, long term. And I hope he does well. I think it's just a unique situation.
Yeah, I think it's more the devil you know versus the devil you don't.
Yes.
And I can sit here and rip Indianapolis for doing it because that's a luxury that I have. But ultimately, who's the alternative? It's some of that has to factor into it too, right? So, I'll rip them for giving Daniel Jones this contract. It is still just a 2-year contract. It's not a huge long-term commitment. It's a lot of money right now. It's the biggest 2-year contract in league history, which is why I find it ridiculous for a guy that's been an average at best quarterback throughout the course of his career. However, that being said, when you look at it from an Indianapolis standpoint, if they don't retain Jones, who is their quarterback? Could they have gone after Malik Willis? I guess. But he got snatched up pretty quick. Could they go after Kyler Murray? I think if your room is Kyler Murray versus Daniel Jones and you're looking at talent, Kyler Murray is my starter. But Kyler Murray also had to have a clause in this contract to not play video games. So, what do we do? You don't have that problem with Jones. All the things you hear about Jones from an off-the-field perspective and whatever is he's a pretty solid dude, right? Saquon's still close with him. It's hard to look at him and then look at that contract and be like, how? But like I said, some of it has to be the devil, because who's the replacement? It's like everybody wants to fire Nick Sirianni. Okay, great. Who's the head coach then? Right? And anybody. Right. That's the typical answer from somebody who doesn't know shit. Got it. Thanks. Moving on. Last piece. And this is good news for the Eagles. Jeff McClain reports the Eagles and Dallas Goedert agreed to push back the void date that was set to go into effect late last night at midnight and would trigger $20.5 million in dead money for 2026. They've pushed that to Friday. So Goddard has still yet to hit free agency for the first time in his career. The 2 extra days could give the Eagles and the tight end additional time to work on a contract and return for a 9th season in Philly. Goddard wants to finish his career in Philly, and the team has financial incentive for bringing back one of the core pieces of their offense. I also think with bringing back Grant, I think it would benefit to bring back Goddard as well, right? Especially in talking to Scott, and he's still in here too. Grant looks up to Goddard, and the two seem to do really, really well together. My thoughts were always, if you were not bringing back Goddard, then you probably should not bring back Grant. I think at that point you just wipe the slate clean and go after a new tight end room. I was a little concerned when the first tight end thing that broke was Munn. I'm like, what the fuck is this? But then immediately you saw Grant. When I saw the Grant signing, I immediately love it. And I really hope that is something that helps the Dallas Goedert situation. Because I don't know, much like the Daniel Jones situation, if we don't bring back Goddard, what's the answer? You don't have one. You could draft one, but I don't see Howie taking a tight end in the first round. And who are you going to get? You know what I mean? I guess you could draft, but even if it's a 1-year deal, let's get Goddard back in the fold here. I know it's getting a little long in the tooth and everything, but the guy just set career highs and what was it? Receptions and touchdowns last year. So
he nearly doubled his career high in touchdowns in a season.
Yeah, so I think it's warranted. He's obviously earned it. We all love him. He's got to stay on the field, but you got 2 more days. I hope they can figure it out and bring Goddard back for at least 1 more year.
Yeah, I would be surprised at this point hearing that news if Dallas doesn't stay. But Dallas is going to and should only really be seen as a Band-Aid until we get a more official long-term answer. I wouldn't be totally upset if Grant turns out to be a part of that long-term answer. I really wouldn't. But listen, Hearing you say that Goddard is looking to spend his 9th year in Philly makes me feel a little bit old. I hadn't really realized it's been that long. Hasn't been that long. I remember when he got drafted. I remember when he got drafted with Miles Sanders. It was that same draft, and we got him because we had won the Super Bowl and we traded back with Baltimore, snagging two second-round picks. And Baltimore ended up drafting Lamar. We ended up drafting Goddard and Sanders with that.
Yep.
Only one of those teams winning a Super Bowl. Okay, so I think we all know who won that trade.
Are the Eagles getting rid of AJ Brown? No.
Probably not at this point. Probably not at
this
this point.
Doesn't look like it.
Especially not to Baltimore.
Especially not to Baltimore. But at this point, unless he gets moved at the draft, I just don't see it happening. The Eagles
I see that happening.
Asking price that Howie is looking for is basically just telling you we don't want to trade him unless you are absolutely willing to just bend over the desk and take it like a champ.
I think it's a strategic posturing from Howie to AJ, where it's like
it's showing him how much we value him and we love
you want to buy my cart, you can have it for $100,000. All right, no one's gonna pay $100,000 for my cart, but you can have it. All right, I'll give you the title right now, and you can just take it off of my property. But I'm gonna cost you an arm and a leg. If you want to do it, you can do it. But
yeah, this was. I mean, it's like I said earlier. The Patriots and Howie was wanting them to come at him with a first, a second, and Christian Gonzalez. Are you fucking insane? Like, that's just telling you they don't really want to move it, right? They don't, and they shouldn't want to move him. But he's got to want to be here too, and he's got to buy into the offense. I don't want we got to go through another season with him bitching up a storm on the sideline. I don't want to hear it anymore. Okay, I'm done. Right? Like, enough already. Yeah. So, what else you got, kid? Closing thoughts.
I feel very vindicated by Trey Hendrickson. The Bird, they got Tariq Woolen. I think that's a fantastic. I cannot wait to see him in the system. I cannot wait. Jordan Davis, his selection begs a question for Jalen Carter. And This is the type of situations that Howie's paid a lot of money to make. And so with Carter, you have an option to deal the problem now or hedge your bets and see if you can buy a little bit more time. I do not think you ever sign him long-term. I think that would bankrupt the team. I do not think you can do that right now. But I think the trade market is set. So it's just a matter of whether or not Howie feels comfortable. Love to see Grant coming back. It's always nice to see a familiar face. Dallas Goedert makes me feel old. And
Lou Mancini's laughing at you for that.
I feel old hearing that he's going to be here for 9 years. That's so like
9 years. I know.
When he got drafted. Yeah.
So I don't know. All things you see are that they're not shopping Carter, but that could just be bullshit too. I don't know that you see any kind of trade stuff until we get closer to the draft, if the Eagles actually make trades.
That's true. I think that's true.
But closing thoughts. Well, so let's see. The AFC North has Myles Garrett in Cleveland, has TJ Watt in Pittsburgh, and now has Trey Hendrickson in Baltimore added to an already pretty rough defense.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Joe Burrow sits there and watches his team do absolutely nothing to improve the situation. Bengal fans, for those of you that are huge Burrow fans, I do not blame you. I like the kid too. I would tell you, enjoy him while he's there, because once that contract is up, he is out the door. He is not sticking around for this bullshit any longer. I can almost guarantee it. They would have to basically give him part of the team in order to get him to stay. And even at that point, I don't know if they would do it. Yeah, that's about Stacey Moore. What is that? They shouldn't trade him. Everyone struggles. Why get rid of him? Why can't they help him? He's part of the Eagles family. NFL's a business, dear. And AJ
Can't
Brown
be
has shown
sentimental in this business.
You can't be sentimental. It is a business, and AJ Brown has shown his whole ass on a number of different occasions. He's all smiles and sunshine when he's getting the ball.
Ooh,
when he's not, regardless of whether we're winning or losing, he's pouting. So it's not a good look. This is some of the same type of bitching, and although at the time it was more about money when he was in Tennessee before we traded for him. So hopefully he can get his head right, and hopefully we can and keep him and keep that championship window open. But ultimately, what's best for the team in the locker room is what is most important.
I don't like paying a Sour Patch Kid $25-30 million.
No, neither do I. And I don't think he'll get a second contract from us, even if he does stay through this one. So
no.
Yeah, I never took it. Yeah, I never took him as a lifelong Eagle. Unlike Devontae Smith, who will be here forever.
Yes.
Anyways, folks, that's about all the time we got for this week. We'll see what happens over the next week here. It's been a frenzy so far. We'll come back with some more of it next week. Get your laughs in on your Colts, on your friends of yours that are Colts fans. Wish them luck with Daniel Jones. Get your laughs in on the Raiders now that they can't rebuild around their quarterback that they're about to draft because the Ravens are a bunch of savvy douchebags. And if you happen to know any Bengals fans, give them a hug, especially if they're wearing a Burrow jersey.
They need it.
Because the back of that Burrow jersey, that's 6 games this year where he's going to have to go against Hendrickson, Watt, and Garrett.
Yep.
That's a lot. And if you think Hendrickson isn't going to be dialed in to take it out on Cincinnati, boy, you are.
Ooh, yeah.
But that's about it, folks. So come on back again next week. We will talk NCAA tournament and wrap up the free agency frenzy should have pretty much expired by that point. We'll put a bow on that, talk NCAA tournament, and as always, have a few laughs along the way. Adam will drop a few F-bombs. If you're interested in that Reaper contest, get on over to Green Legion social media, read the details again. I can't tell you how thrilled I am about that whole thing. I think it's awesome. And your early bird specials, once again, this Friday, it's either 10 a.m. or noon, but keep an eye on that. Just follow the Green Legion across all of your social media, and you will get your updates. Until next week, folks, this has been Unhappy and the NP, brought to you by Green Legion Radio, part of the Green Legion Radio family, and proudly sponsored by the beautiful women at Cheerleaders Gentlemen's Club, located at 2740 South Front Street in Philadelphia. Call 215-467-1980 for all of your group and party information. Folks, get on through the rest of your week. Enjoy the upcoming weekend. I imagine this is the St. Patrick's Day weekend where everyone's going to be out celebrating. Take your Ubers. Take your Lyft. Designated driver. Those cops will not be out screwing around. And remember, that judge ain't back in until Monday. Unless he's hungover too, and then he might be in there until actually. Don't do anything we wouldn't do, folks. And as always, Mason, take it away, brother.
Go Birds!
Go Birds!